Live from WRAL News headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
A beloved teacher killed. What we know about the man charged with the death of a Wake County teacher as he heads to court.
And our temperatures are still on the chilly side in the 30s to the 50s. I'll show you which wins out, the warmth or the cool temperatures for the next several days.
And deadline for motions. Lawyers have until today to file motions in the cases against the accused Headingham shooter. We're going to break down what we know. Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon here on WRAL News. I am Chris Lovingood.
And I'm Laura Levine here in the WRAL Live Center at this noon. We have an update to tell you about, taking you back to this crime scene here, a Durham shooting investigation that happened on New Year's Day. Durham police now identifying the victim in this case as 40-year-old Breon Curry, who died after a fight turned into gunfire. Again, this happened on New Year's Day on Delbert Avenue in Durham. Right now, officers have yet to report any arrests made in the shooting. Of course, we're going to stay on top of this investigation as soon as we get more updates.
Laura, thank you. In just over an hour, the man charged in the murder of a beloved Ravenscroft teacher will go before a judge. Ryan Camacho is accused of breaking into her home in what police are calling a random attack. WRAL's Carly Haynes is live outside the Wake County Justice Center. And Carly, this suspect is no stranger to the courts.
Ryan Camacho has a lengthy criminal record. Now, this will be his first appearance for this particular case where a judge is going to be determining a bond. Raleigh police say that Camacho broke into Zoe Welsh's home on Clay Street and started attacking her while she was on the phone with 911 Saturday morning. Welsh later died at the hospital from her injuries. And when we searched through court records, we saw Camacho has more than 20 previous charges. That includes some for breaking and entering. And last month, Camacho's charges in a separate case were ultimately dismissed. During the hearings, prosecutors asked to have him involuntarily committed, but that request was denied by a judge. That's according to the Wake County District Attorney. So today we're going to be asking the district attorney why several of these cases were ultimately dismissed, and we're going to be present inside the courtroom for his 1:30 appearance. Carly Haynes, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
And we hope you didn't get too used to those freezing conditions this morning, as temperatures will soar by the end of this week. Elizabeth Gardner has a look at when we're going to reach, the 70s at one point this week, Elizabeth?
Can you believe? We actually do tend to see at least a few 70-degree days, even in January. So that's not totally out of the realm of what's normal. Our temperatures are still cool this morning because we had some clouds roll in early. It's 43 in Durham and Raleigh. It's 53 in Fayetteville. Now, all the warm air, of course, is going to come from the south. So temperatures are noticeably warmer in Fayetteville. And you'll see that reflected in the southern counties. So Goldsboro's at 53, Fayetteville at 53, but it's 43 in Durham, 39 in Roxborough. So there's a big spread in our temperatures north to south. Well, what's changing is we're going to see our wind shifting to southerly. Now, today will feel very much like yesterday in terms of temperatures. Our highs in the middle of the afternoon will be in the mid-50s, and then we're just going to drop it down into the 40s overnight. We actually don't dip into the 20s and 30s like we saw this morning. So already tonight we'll see a bit of a warm-up. Highs will be in the 60s Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and 70s for Friday and Saturday. Now, Saturday also looks like we'll see a front that comes through with a chance for rain. I'll show you what we think the timeline looks like and how much rain we could see coming up.
Elizabeth, thank you. We are less than a month away from the start of the Headingham mass shooting trial. Austin Thompson faces 5 murder charges, 2 charges each of attempted first-degree murder and assault with a deadly weapon. WRAL's Sean Gallagher joins us from the courthouse right now. Sean, today is a major deadline in the process.
Yeah, Renee, this is the last day that attorneys from either side can file any motions related to the case. And for the first time, we're seeing the newest motions filed by Austin Thompson's defense team. Take a look. These include motions to request from Thompson's defense attorneys, including directions for a court reporter to take notes, witnesses to be sequestered, and photos of the dead victims not to be shown publicly. But it also includes requests to allow Thompson's attorneys to better be prepared to defend him, including any prior prior bad acts by Thompson the state plans to use in its case, and any underlying crimes planned to be used to convict Thompson of first-degree murder. Now, Austin Thompson is facing 5 murder charges related to the 2022 mass shooting in Raleigh's Hedingham neighborhood, with victims including Thompson's older brother, an off-duty Raleigh police officer, and 3 women in the neighborhood. Another Raleigh police officer and a special education teacher were also injured in that shooting. Now, on top of these 5 motions that were filed last week that we're learning about today, we're expecting at least 1 more to be filed today before the deadline. All of these motions will be heard before a judge during a hearing the week of January 20th, with Thompson's trial expected to start the week of February 2nd. In downtown Raleigh, Sean Gallagher, WRAL News.
New at noon, Durham police have released the name of the man who was killed in a drive-by shooting. This happened last night on Hillsborough Road. Within the past 20 minutes, officers identified that victim as 30-year-old Iris Jeffrey. Police say that a driver pulled up to the passenger side of another car and a person started shooting at that other car. We are working to learn more about the victims and if any arrests have been made. A construction worker injured on the job is expected to make a full recovery. That happened around 9:30 this morning on East Chatham Street in Cary. Police say the man was working in a utility trench, and that's when the walls gave way. He was trapped up to his knees, but responders safely removed him from that collapse about 30 minutes after arriving. The worker suffered minor injuries to his legs.
Venezuela's ousted President Nicolas Maduro is expected to make his first court appearance today in New York City. He and his wife are charged with narco-terrorism, conspiracy, cocaine trafficking, and weapons offenses. NBC's Jay Gray reports on worldwide protests and uncertainty.
Hey there, and the crowds as well as the anticipation really growing here outside of the federal courthouse in Manhattan, a courthouse that has seen many high-profile defendants, including Luigi Mangione, as well as Sean Combs. Even President Trump himself has been a defendant in this courthouse. Captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife Celia Flores now under extreme security, moving into the federal courthouse here in Manhattan earlier this morning. The couple making their first appearance in a U.S. courtroom on a range of narco-terrorism charges as well as conspiracy. We've learned this morning that the couple has been assigned public defenders in this case. That's just for this hearing. We should point out they're expected to add private counsel as this legal process unfolds. And this is by no means an open and closed case for federal prosecutors. In fact, legal analysts say it's going to be a very difficult trial if it gets to that point, one that the defendants are surely going to start with the claim that they have diplomatic immunity, that they should not be in a U.S. courtroom at all. Again, this just the first hearing in a series of hearings that will last well over a year, according to most who are looking at this closely. The actual trial won't start until sometime next year. That's the very latest right now outside the courthouse in Manhattan. I'm Jay Gray, NBC News.
Police in Switzerland are questioning whether sufficient age checks were in place at the site of a deadly fire at a ski resort bar. Some of the victims were as young as 14. All 40 people killed in that New Year's fire at the bar that injured more than 100 others have been identified, including 20 minors. 9 of the newly identified victims were under the age of 18.
And happening now here in the WRAL Live Center, we are following this announcement coming from Pete Hegseth, who says that he is now taking steps and the Pentagon is now taking steps to downgrade Democratic Senator Mark Kelly's military retirement rank and pay because of the lawmaker's, quote, seditious statements. Now, Defense Secretary Hegseth said in a statement that Kelly, who is a retired Navy captain, was part of the group of Congress members who 6 weeks ago released a reckless and seditious video that was clearly intended to undermine good order and military discipline. So now Kelly has 30 days to submit a response, and the process to downgrade his retirement rank will be completed within 45 days.
Just a heads up, travelers, prepare to see construction over at RDU, where you are looking live right now. Today, teams are starting the work on the Terminal 2 expansion project. That expansion is part of a multi-billion-dollar project called Transform RDU. The runway will be extended and moved further from the terminal. The airport says this will allow for more expansions in the future. The executive director of the Regional Transportation Alliance says that project won't be finished until 2032, but you'll start to see changes before then.
You're going to start having bridges that'll make it easy to go from Terminal 1 into the airport or Terminal 2. You're no longer going to be competing in the same traffic flows. That's going to be great. The airport's going to be longer, or the airport runway, I should say, is going to be longer.
Airport management also says the changes will allow for a larger ticketing area, an upgraded baggage claim system, and an expanded international arrival space, among other things.
Today marks the first full week of the trading in the new year. Let's take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Look at this significant rally, up 750 points. We're seeing major gains in oil stocks after the Venezuela situation. NASDAQ is up 200 points. Tech stocks are doing really well, and the S&P 500 advancing 60 points on this Monday. Next at noon, Vance home vandalism. What we know about the suspect in custody after reports of the vice president's home in Ohio being vandalized.
And failure to act in time. That's why a school district officer is in trial this week. The charges against him and the 2022 Uvalde school shooting.
And overnight shooting update. What investigators have revealed about the victims in the shooting in Durham.
Coming up next, see storms moving in with WRAL's exclusive Dual Doppler 5000, sponsored by the WRAL Weather app. Download now for live radar.
A man suspected of damaging windows at Vice President J.D. Vance's home in Ohio is due in court tomorrow. I want to show you 26-year-old William DeFore. This is his picture right here on the screen. And video shows some of the damage I was talking about. DeFore is charged with criminal damaging, endangering, obstructing official business, and criminal trespass. Vice President Vance was in Cincinnati last week, but he left the city Sunday afternoon. Jury selection begins today for an officer charged with child endangerment in the Uvalde massacre. A new analysis shows that officer arrived at the campus just before the shooting began. School district officer Adrian Gonzalez was there nearly a minute and a half before. He was outside with a teacher reporting the suspicious person. Well, that's when they both heard gunshots in the parking lot. Gonzalez goes on trial this week, and this is the first case related to the massacre of 19 students and 2 teachers in 2022. He's charged with 29 counts of child endangerment or abandonment. The days after the killings, Gonzalez told investigators that his adrenaline rush led him to focus on another person, and he says he never saw the gunman.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz will not seek re-election for a 3rd term this year. Walz released a statement this morning that reads in part, "Every minute I spend defending my own political interests would be a minute I cannot spend defending the people of Minnesota." The decision also comes amid fraud investigation into several Minnesota programs. Walz is expected to hold a news conference this afternoon to discuss his decision. Congress returns to Washington, D.C. today. Members are expected to take up a vote this week on extending subsidies from the Affordable Care Act. Lawmakers also have until the end of the month to pass a spending bill and avoid a government shutdown. Today is also Marjorie Taylor Greene's last day as a member of Congress. The Georgia lawmaker previously had been one of President Trump's most vocal supporters in Congress.
So you may have seen a ring around the moon last night, right? Well, how does it form? And does it mean that rain or maybe even snow is approaching? Meteorologist Chris Michaels answered all that in today's edition of Ask the Meteorologist.
So there were a couple instances where we saw this halo or this ring around the moon, one of which was New Year's Eve. The other was last night, thanks to Latrice out of Garner for getting a good picture of that. So first off, how does this even happen? A lot of times you'll have ice crystals within these high wispy clouds, and the moonlight is getting bent by those ice crystals or refracted at about a 22-degree angle relative to us. So from our perspective, it looks like there's a halo around the moon. It's really cool to see. So a lot of times that can be due to the cold cloud tops at the top of a storm that gets blown off from that storm system. Could be hundreds of miles away. So no matter the season, it does precede a storm system sometimes, but doesn't always guarantee rain or snow. For instance, in this case, a lot of that moisture was coming out of the Pacific Ocean and being carried by the winds at airplane cruising altitude. So much so that we have to go out toward Hawaii, where they've got winter storm warnings in effect for Mauna Loa and Mauna Kea. No winter storm warnings here at home. I'll show you what the trends are for snow and when we usually see the most. That's right now on the homepage of WRAL.com.
Anytime anyone hears snow in Hawaii, it's like, yes, remember, they got mountains over there, things up there, snow does happen. Not in the forecast for us, though, this week. If anything you should be talking about is how warm it's going to get.
Yes, we're going to see our temperatures well above normal. Probably by Friday, we're looking at potentially a record high, climbing into the low 70s. So, yeah, a lot of warmth headed our way. And so highs in the 60s. We're going to talk about, how frequently we tend to see highs in the 60s in January. Showers on the way for the weekend, but it won't be a washout. We're looking at mainly just Saturday. And then behind it, it's turning cooler, more like what we're going to see today. So we're going to kind of bookend the week today a bit on the cool side. We may end Sunday with cool temperatures as well. Hey, the cool temperatures making it perfect for some ice skating here at Fenton and Cary, looking fantastic there. It will be rather warm later in the week for ice skating, but they've got a nice freezer there keeping that ice going. So they're planning to keep it out there, I believe, until early February. 43 is our current temperature, just a light wind out of the southeast. Eventually that wind is going to shift to southerly, and that's going to help to clear things out for us. We do have, of course, a lot of cloud cover, and that's really stretched all the way almost across the entire viewing area at this point. Notice down here around the South Carolina line, closer to Fayetteville, those clouds are beginning to thin. So as that warmer air continues to push northward, it should help to dissipate those clouds somewhat, but it definitely looks like we're going to be holding on to some cloud cover, at least for a bit. Futurecast shows us beginning to clear closer to sunset. This is 5 o'clock, and then after that, it starts to clear out, especially from, say, I-95 westward. Should be clear overnight, but clear skies, of course, tend to mean colder temperatures. In this case, we'll see a flow coming out of the south tonight, so it will negate the typical chill that we see when we have a clear night. It is still 39 degrees in Roxborough right now. Temperatures there were in the upper 20s this morning. We're looking at 53 in Fayetteville, 56 in Clinton. So this warmer air here eventually should be able to erode all that cloud cover, and those clouds are associated with these cooler temperatures. But we're stuck with it for a bit for sure. Durham's at 41, Knightdale, Apex at 43. It's 44 degrees there in Fuquay Arena. Around town this afternoon, if we can get those clouds to break up, it looks like they're going to be fairly stubborn. Best that we'll do is mid-50s. In some places, we may not hit that where we continue to see the cloud cover. Temperatures by tomorrow, though, should be nice. We'll see partly cloudy skies. By Wednesday, 69. Tomorrow, 66. We'll see a second system come through, and that's what's really going to ramp up the warmth. 71 on Friday, and likely to be in the 70s again on Saturday. When the cold front comes through, it'll bring us a chance of some showers, but very warm temperatures. Again, that 71 Friday is going to be close to a record. Notice the overnight lows, too. We can put away the winter coats. Tomorrow's going to be chilly at 41, but Wednesday morning, 50, 45 Thursday, 55 on Friday morning, 58 on Saturday morning. So very, very warm conditions. And it's not just us. Look at how much of the country sees this big warm air mass crossing as we get through the week, especially mid to late week is when we'll really see a good bit of that. Again, Saturday's the day the front comes through. It's going to bring us a chance of rain. Right now it's just 40%. We'll talk more about the timing and how much we could see.
And happening now here in the WRAL Live Center, there is a traffic alert for you in Raleigh. If you're traveling on Cameron Street here, Raleigh water crews are back on the scene working to make repairs at this water main break that happened last week. Those crews are out there, and right now drivers are really advised to take an alternate route, but they're expected to be out there until 5 o'clock this afternoon. Customers are not expected to experience any water service interruptions. That's what we're being told right now, but just be mindful if you're traveling in this direction.
Laura, thank you. Upheaval in Venezuela. Coming up at 4, our PolitiFact team looks into claims the Trump administration made about the U.S. military's operation in the country and the capture of Nicolas Maduro.
Plus, safe drinking water. Half a year after people in a Granville County town asked for a solution, the topic is back up for discussion, which is why coming up at 5:30, we'll talk about how water filters could help treat smelly and discolored water. We're also talking about humidifier safety. 5 on your side will share what you need to know with cold and flu season in full swing.
Plus, a hop, skip, and a jump to destinations. How one Wake County town is giving residents an affordable lift from point A to point B.
So as you may know, a humidifier can be very helpful when there's dry winter air and flu season. But humidifiers can become contaminated with bacteria if you don't maintain them properly. 5 on your side's Ashley Rowe has some helpful advice to help you do that the right way.
To keep your humidifier clean, always follow the manufacturer's instructions, which typically include daily and weekly maintenance. Most will suggest you rinse and then towel dry the tank and fill it with clean water every day. And then give your humidifier a deep cleaning with distilled vinegar every week. And be sure to replace the filter or wick according to the owner's manual.
We've been testing humidifiers for decades. Some are way easier to clean than others, which is very important because you'll have to maintain that humidifier regularly throughout the season.
Ideally, you want a relative humidity between 30 and 50% inside your home. To help it work best, position your humidifier on a flat surface raised at least 2 feet above the floor. This allows for more moisture to dissipate into the air. CR recommends this Vicks model for smaller rooms, and for larger spaces, this Honeywell. And if you have kids or pets at home, Consumer Reports strongly advises choosing a cool mist humidifier. That stays cool to the touch, unlike warm mist models that can pose a burn risk. Ashley Rowe, 5 on your side.
Extreme cold temperatures can bring on a migraine for some people. And for those sensitive to the cold, staying inside on frigid days really can help.
What the weather does is that sudden change in barometric pressure can change or create what we call a disequilibrium in our sinuses. When you think about our sinuses as cavities full of air, and when there is a disequilibrium, for those who have migraines, that in itself can trigger and create a pathway to one's migraine occurrence.
Now, while we can't control the weather, there are other things that migraine sufferers can control, such as sleep, reducing stress, and even getting proper exercise.
Chinese automaker BYD has overtaken Tesla as the world's largest seller of electric vehicles. The company announced that it sold 2.2 million EVs in 2025. That's up nearly 28% over the previous year. Tesla reported total sales around 1.6 million vehicles. That's its second straight year of declines and largest annual drop in company history. Part of that stems from consumer pullback after a $7,500 U.S. tax credit on EVs expired October 1st. Elon Musk's XAI chatbot, Grok, is facing criticism after users showed that it could alter photos without consent. The Verge reports the new image editing feature allowed users to change images in sexualized ways. Some of those images involved minors, raising concerns about weak safety controls. The edits were made without notifying or obtaining permission from the original poster. When Reuters asked XAI for a response, its reply was 3 words: legacy media lies.
Deadly drive-by. We now know the name of the victim who was shot and killed last night in Durham.
Memory lapses, intense pressure, and vision problems. Just a few symptoms of Havana syndrome. Why victims fear the investigation into the mysterious brain injury will be downgraded. And here's a look at your winning North Carolina Education Lottery numbers.
Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Here in the WRAL Live Center, we are following that breaking news coming from outside this New York courtroom where Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife have pleaded not guilty to those charges. Of course, this comes as they were held here for narco-terrorism charges. When asked by a judge, how do you plead to the indictment? Maduro responded, I am innocent. I am not guilty. I am a decent man, the president of my country. His wife also saying that I am completely innocent. Of course, Maduro and his wife were led into the courtroom around noon for a brief but required legal proceeding that will likely kick off a prolonged legal fight over whether he can be put on trial in the U.S. His lawyers are expected to contest the legality of his arrest.
To be a central part about this, the legality of it. We'll be watching that carefully. Well, new this noon, Durham police have identified the man shot and killed on Hillsborough Road last night, 30-year-old Iris Jeffrey.
A woman was also shot. WRAL's Monica Casey is live where it happened. And Monica, that stretch of Hillsborough Road has reopened now.
It has. Traffic is moving regularly right now, but you can still see some of the remnants of this crime scene here next to me. According to scanner traffic, Jeffrey, the car he was driving, ran off the road. It landed over in this area in this Wendy's parking lot. This all started just after 9 last night when that 2024 Chevy Malibu was traveling west on Hillsborough Road. And according to Durham police, another car pulled up to the passenger side and began shooting. Police radio traffic shows what a 911 caller told dispatchers.
Someone did a drive-by shooting. Unknown for sure if someone is shot. Suspect vehicle description is a dark color four-door sedan driving towards the KFC near Cole Mill.
Pronounced dead at a hospital. A woman was also in the car and she was transported to the hospital with serious life-threatening injuries. As of right now, Durham police have not announced any arrests in this case. Live in Durham, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
And a man charged with killing a Wake County teacher is due in court in about an hour. Ravenscroft science teacher Zoe Welsh was killed Saturday in her home. Ryan Camacho, the man accused of breaking into Welsh's home and killing her, is scheduled to make his first appearance. It's unclear if the pair had a connection. WRAL will be in the courtroom for today's hearing. Look for live reports beginning at 4 p.m.
And new this hour, black church leaders and activists are rallying outside the state legislature, and they say this is their year to take back political power in North Carolina. It's a midterm year, and the activists rallying today plan to travel statewide and take their message to voters. They say education and health care and voting rights are all in danger this year.
We are here because we refuse to be silent in the face of authoritarianism, in the face of racist voter suppression.
North Carolina will have some of the most closely watched political contests in the nation this year, and you can follow our coverage of them online in the NC Capitol section of WRAL.com.
Havana syndrome continues to mystify experts. U.S. government personnel are being treated for health issues that began while on duty overseas. And now there are concerns about political interference with research. Jennifer Griffin reports.
Victims of Havana syndrome, or what the CIA euphemistically calls anomalous health incidents, have raised concerns that political appointees at the Pentagon are preparing to downgrade the unit authorized by Congress to investigate whether the brain injuries first reported by U.S. government personnel in Cuba in 2016 were the result of pulsed microwave-directed energy weapons, and whether they were carried out by a foreign adversary like Russia, which has said in the past it was developing such weapons. Adam is a former CIA operative and Havana syndrome's patient zero. Fox has followed his case for several years.
We got hit in the shadows. We know how to hit back in the shadows. So this doesn't need to become a political football. This is something that we can stop and manage if they determine that it is Russia.
Adam and other victims have suffered from sudden inexplicable symptoms, dizziness, auditory problems, and balance issues that suggest a traumatic brain injury. Mark Lindsay, a Foreign Service officer working for the State Department in Guangzhou, China, was medevaced home in 2018 and is still undergoing treatment at Walter Reed.
They know exactly which regions of my brain have been most affected, which are consistent with damage from pulse microwave radiation. There's still people in State Department where I work that are still covering this up. When are they going to be held accountable?
The Pentagon said in a statement it has nothing to announce regarding a reorganization of the team investigating Havana syndrome.
That was Jennifer Griffin reporting. Republicans on the Hill vowed to get to the bottom of these suspected attacks. Now some victims fear the Pentagon will downplay Russia's possible role for fear of alienating Moscow at a time of sensitive negotiations.
Holly Springs is making local travel easier than ever with the Holly Springs Hopper. Starting today, you can book a shared ride in just a few taps and get picked up in minutes. Anyone in town can request a ride to anywhere in Holly Springs up to 7 miles. Just so you know, there's no charge for riders 62 and up and riders with disabilities. Riders must be at least 16 years old, though, if not accompanied by an adult rider.
Springs Hopper is our Holly Springs' first investment in public transit. And so this is going to allow us to not only help people get around town more easily, it's going to take cars off of Holly Springs roads and make it easier to get around town.
And you can download that app on the Android or Apple stores.
Missed again. Why a government ban on dangerous chemicals in hair relaxers still has not taken effect.
And well, Panthers in the playoffs. How about that? We're on TV. You can watch the first home playoff game at Bank of America Stadium in a decade.
Our team is working to bring you exclusive stories. For coverage you'll find only on WRAL. Visit WRAL.com and search only. You're looking live at the WRAL Gardens. It looks rather dreary outside. I suppose it matches the Monday mood as everyone goes back to school and back to work today. Mid-50s, though, for the afternoon high, and then we really warm up the rest of the week. You're watching WRAL News, available on YouTube TV and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device.
The Carolina Panthers are going to the playoffs, and they clinched the AFC South when the Atlanta Falcons beat the New Orleans Saints yesterday. The Panthers will host the LA Rams in a wild card round game. It's a rematch from November, you may recall, when the Panthers upset the Rams at Bank of America Stadium then. Their matchup will be at 4:30. That is on Saturday, and yes, you can watch that on Fox 50. In other NFC playoff games, the Packers will play the Bears on Saturday night, and the 49ers will play the Eagles on Sunday on Fox 50. The Seahawks have a first-round bye.
The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to the playoffs in the AFC. Baltimore Ravens kicker Tyler Loop missed a field goal in the final seconds of last night's AFC North deciding game. The Steelers escaped with a 26-24 win. The Ravens will not make the playoffs. In the AFC playoffs, the Bills will play the Jaguars on Sunday afternoon. Sunday night on WRAL, the Patriots will host the Chargers. And then next Monday night, the Texans will play the Steelers. The Broncos have a first-round bye.
Caught the Tuna King, the record-breaking bid for a massive bluefin. You got to see this.
Look at that. Pet Companion, how AI is improving the way you check on your fur baby. And when the creators plan to start taking orders.
Well, more and more North Carolinians are becoming victims of ransomware attacks. That's the focus of the WRAL investigation airing tonight at 6. WRAL investigates Sarah Kruger shares the troubling numbers and talks with someone who negotiates directly with the bad guys.
State numbers show ransomware attacks increased nearly 50% year over year, and they made up more than half of all data breaches in the state. Those numbers are from the latest report from the state covering 2024. Ransomware attacks are when a hacker gains access to someone's files and then demands a ransom payment to give them back. I talked with someone in the unique position of negotiating directly with those hackers. He says about half the time, those hackers end up getting money from the business or individual who was the target.
Ransomware as a whole continues to be a very relevant and prominent threat, and it's going to continue to be a relevant threat because how lucrative it is for these cyber criminals.
Tonight, I'll let you know who some of the latest victims were here in our state, and I'm asking officials what they're doing to get this under control. Sarah Kruger, WRAL News, Raleigh.
The FDA has missed its deadline to propose banning formaldehyde in hair straightening products. A proposed rule by the agency had an action date on the last day of December. Salon workers have been pushing for the ban since 2021. The FDA missed several deadlines on the rule since 2023. Research has found formaldehyde in hair relaxers increases the risk of uterine fibroids, infertility, and hormone-related cancers. 10 people have been convicted of harassing France's First Lady, Brigitte Macron, online. Prosecutors say they spread false claims that she was born male. The ruling is a win for the Macrons as they pursue a U.S. defamation case against Candace Owens, who pushed the same rumors. All 10 defendants received suspended sentences for what the court called malicious attacks.
All right, you got to see this. A massive 535-pound bluefin tuna sold for a record $3.2 million at the first auction of 2026. Are we in the wrong career? That's a lot of money for a fish. Pretty cool. The top bidder, known as the Tuna King, runs a popular sushi chain in Tokyo. That pricey fish was caught off the coast of Oma in northern Japan and is known for producing some of the country's finest tuna. Pacific bluefin tuna was previously a threatened species because of climate change and overfishing. Its stock is recovering after conservation efforts, but that's a massive tuna there. I don't know, maybe it's a good day to get out on the lake and do a little light fishing if you can. At some point this week, Elizabeth, we have temperatures in the 60s and at some point 70s later in the week.
It's really going to warm up nicely. Now, we're stuck under this deck of clouds, and that's definitely keeping our temperatures cool. It really looked like it may only creep as far as the triangle, but it's all the way into our eastern and even southeastern counties. You can see here in Goldsboro and Wayne County, we are stuck in the clouds. And being stuck in the clouds is really going to trap the cool air that was with us overnight. So officially at RDU, it's only 43 degrees right now. We do have a light wind out of the southeast at 3 miles per hour. As that wind starts to pick up in speed and starts to shift to southerly and southwesterly, that's when we'll begin to see a warm up. But it may really not happen very quickly for today. This high pressure system helping us out, rotating clockwise here. When the high was back to our west, it was helping to pull in the cooler air from the north. As it moves eastward, it starts to shift the wind to southeasterly and then eventually southerly and southwesterly. That's what's going to help to warm things up. But we really may not feel too much of it until tomorrow, except our far southern counties. This is a look at what we're expecting this week. Starting tomorrow, we'll be looking at a string of warm days all the way through Saturday. It'll be mainly dry until we get to Saturday. I was looking at the models just a little while ago, and this looks like a big, heavy slug of rain coming across the mountains. But once it reaches us here in central North Carolina, it looks like it starts to lose some energy, and the amount of rain is looking pretty wimpy, unfortunately. Ahead of this front, we will likely see some strong flow coming up out of the south, really making it feel like spring with those temperatures in the 70s on Friday and Saturday. With that warm air in place, when the cool air comes in behind it and the two clash along this front, we might have a few scattered thunderstorms. No real indication that we would see anything severe. And you may say, thunderstorms in January? But if you've lived here for a while, you know it does happen occasionally when we see these two very different air masses coming together. So by Sunday, it starts to feel a bit more like winter. Nothing dramatically cold, but we'll probably drop it back into the 50s to around 60 degrees. For Saturday, we're looking at a 40% chance of rain. Again, it's going to look really good coming toward North Carolina. And then the models are really hinting at the fact that it's probably going to sort of fall apart by the time it reaches us. And you can see that when we take a look at the forecast rainfall, looking at as much as 3/4 of an inch of rain for Asheville and Boone. And it might end as some snow, but that's probably going to be mostly a rain event. And then for us, it looks like 1/10 of an inch or less. And so we definitely need the rain. This is a look at our percent of normal rain in the last 30 days, anywhere from about 30 to around 50% of our normal rain in the last 30 days. So definitely we are in need of some rain all across the state. We're going to enjoy these temperatures, though. Tomorrow should be a bit brighter with that southerly flow. That'll help to dry things out just a little bit, too. We do have that chance of rain on Saturday. Right now, it looks like we'll clear out on Sunday, but keep checking back if you have plans to be outside over the weekend. As we get closer to Saturday, we'll fine-tune the timing for you.
2 days in the 70s? Okay. Alien sighting. A Kansas City artist is making it possible for everyone to experience this phenomenon. The serious message this whimsical creature is spreading.
As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines that we're following today. The man accused of killing a Ravenscroft teacher in her home over the weekend will be in court this afternoon. Police say that 36-year-old Ryan Camacho broke into Zoe Welsh's home on Saturday, then assaulted her. Welsh died from her injuries. Camacho has an extensive criminal history, including more than 20 arrests. WRAL will be in the courtroom, and we will share updates online and on WRAL starting at 4 this afternoon.
Durham police identified the man who was killed in a drive-by shooting on Hillsborough Road. Police say 30-year-old Iris Jeffrey was killed. Investigators say a driver pulled up to the passenger side of another car last night and a person started shooting at the other car. We're working to learn more about the victims and if there have been any arrests.
And today is the deadline for attorneys to file motions in the Raleigh mass shooting case ahead of trial. Austin Thompson faces 5 murder charges, 2 charges of attempted first-degree murder and assault with a deadly weapon. The motions will be heard and decided on by a judge the week of January 20th. Thompson's trial is expected to start February 2nd.
He isn't from here, but Sunny has decided to tour our planet. Did you know that Sunny is a pink alien? So this modern day Where's Waldo has been spotted in Rio, Greece, even Coachella. Alan Shope introduces us to the man behind the colorful character who's sharing an important message.
Pink alien goes all over the globe.
Kansas City artist Toma creating a character folks are very attracted to, and it's for all the right reasons.
Experiences acceptance, belonging. He gets to participate, be himself.
Toma coming up with the pink alien and decided for no reason at all to add him to one of his paintings.
It's supposed to make people feel like no matter where you go, you should be able to be yourself and participate, engage, and feel welcome.
Because he says few things stand out more in a crowd than a pink alien.
And try to put him in places that are original.
He says, just like Kansas City.
So I chose the Douglas DC-3 that is on the rooftop of the roastery.
The pink alien has gotten so popular, Toma decided to remind people every day of the year just how important they are, no matter who they are, just by looking up at a calendar.
This alien reminds you what's out there and reminds you that you can experience things your own way.
Toma never went to art school, and he just started painting 5 years ago. He says the feeling of belonging is something he hopes the pink alien helps everyone with, no matter where they go in life.
That would be something amazing to have if you didn't come from a place, to be able to feel that.
I feel like Toma would be welcome in Raleigh. Well, the annual Consumer Electronics Show starts tomorrow with artificial intelligence taking center stage. This multi-day event will display the technology's advances in robotics, healthcare, vehicles, wearables, gaming, and more. It is organized by the Consumer Technology Association. CEO Gary Shapiro talked about positive impact AI will have on life going forward.
Well, there's definitely no bubble when it comes to what AI can do. And what AI can do is perform miracles and solve fundamental human problems in food production and clean air and clean water. Obviously, in healthcare, it's going to be overwhelming. We will live longer lives, and that's why longevity is one of the themes here.
The show will feature chip makers such as NVIDIA, Lenovo, and Caterpillar. Organizers say they expect more than 130,000 people to attend the event, coming from 130 countries.
So AI is improving how pet owners are able to check on their cameras. They are the little cameras that can check on your animals. One of the new products on display at this year's Consumer Electronics Show is making waves. I want to show you Vex, a small spherical robot that doesn't just watch your pet from a fixed angle. It follows your cat or dog around the house and then films from their perspective. Very cool. Vex comes with cute stubby limbs, ears, and accessories in a range of colors. It's even compact enough to hold in one hand. The manufacturer plans to take pre-orders in the next 6 months, but hasn't said how much the robot will cost. I have to say, I would love to see what Cha-Cha's up to when Daddy's not home. Love that. Well, a Johnson County town known for its Mule Festival will soon become a key national defense project. Vulcan Elements recently announced a plan to expand to Benson. It will manufacture rare earth magnets that help power everything from your cell phone to nuclear submarines. The Pentagon backed this project and will cost $918 million. It's expected to create up to 1,000 jobs, and the plan could actually transform Benson, which is home to fewer than 4,000 people. You can read more about how the town recruited that